Nico not looking like a go for the playoffs here this week, at least. And that is not good for the Houston Texans because this is probably going to be an L without Nico, in my opinion. A.J. Brown gone or not? Is he leaving Philly? Do they want him gone? Does he want to be gone? Etienne seems like he's gone, according to a few reports. And Gibbs concern? How in the hell could that happen? All of that and more, Mahomes, a whole bunch of other updates on the other side of the intro. File on in. Get ready to call in. Super chats and chats will be answered. The Fantasy Football Show Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Also live whenever news breaks. Also live at midnight Eastern. That show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
First and foremost, let's get the Nico Collins situation out of the way and bring that to the forefront. Nico is going to miss this playoff contest this week with a concussion, not seen practicing, pretty much a done deal at this point. Didn't have enough time anyway, given that it was a Monday game. He had no shot really at playing this upcoming week. This is bad for the Houston Texans. I would say that with Nico, they had a shot for sure. Without Nico, it's going to be real hard for this defense to carry this offense the entire way, like they did in the last contest against a very, very bland Pittsburgh Steelers team. So very, very bad news for those of you counting on this Houston Texan team to win and advance through the bracket. I think they get knocked off by the New England Patriots. Could be a tough, low-scoring, boring game, though, unfortunately, because of how good that Houston Texan defense is. But then again, you never know. It's why they play the game, and sometimes defenses get worn down, and they especially could get worn down in the third and fourth quarter without Nico Collins helping this offense stay on the field in Houston. So it's definitely going to be a fun game to watch. Denver, Buffalo, Seattle, San Francisco, Chicago, LAR. What a nice playoff matchup we've got here across the board. It was such exciting games in the wild card round. I don't know if we'll be blessed in the divisional round to be as, entertained, and we might be very let down given the expectations we're now coming into. Coming off of amazing wild card, just absolute roller coaster ride pretty much the whole way. Nico Collins, so he will not play this week. Miracles can happen, but I doubt they happen here. This is an interesting situation. AJB, according to this report right here, this is from Schefter. Howie Roseman talked about AJB and downplayed AJB being moved on from. But he also said some things that were interesting, like, AJB is a great player. Great players are hard to find. And when we go out in free agency, that's the kind of player we're looking for, is a good player. AJB's that guy. It was mixed signals. A lot of people thinking that he shot it down by saying AJB's a good player and we want good players. But then he started talking about free agency and potentially going and getting somebody and then coming back and saying, well, AJB's that guy. That's the guy we kind of look for when we're going and trying to find somebody. So it left mixed signals. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's smoke season. And you can never trust what any GM or coach or suit or anybody that has decision-making capabilities or doesn't have decision-making capabilities. You can't trust anything because it's smoke season. And smoke season's already begun. For any team that's not in the playoffs still, or even if they were, and they were talking about certain things out of pocket too early, this is one of those situations where it... I think it's posturing more than anything. I don't know that they know what they want to do with AJB yet. I don't think you just decide, okay, he's a problem, he's a diva, we're trading him no matter what. But the right offers will come to the table. That's going to be the part that when people say, oh, AJB won't get traded. When people told me that Pickens wouldn't get traded, and I said he will get traded, and they're like, no, he won't get traded. There's enough animosity between the player and team. And this is the formula that I tell everybody. The formula for a trade is that there needs to be some animosity between the team and player. And if that's great enough, the only other requirement for the formula, this is number one, the only other requirement for the formula is that somebody comes with an offer that the team can't refuse. If the offer is really, really great and it puts this team in a position to then reflect back on this situation and they go, we're not in a good place, this is a great offer, the team executes the trade. It's that simple. It's a really, really easy formula to pretty much count on. And this man has created so much animosity between his head coach and himself in the wild card game alone by screaming and yelling and getting in his face and nearly headbutting him. And you look at Sirianni's face in the replay and he's disgusted. He's angry. He's mad. He felt like a fool because here's this player intimidating him, and here's this guy. He thinks he's such a macho guy. He was not happy. Now, Howie makes decisions more than Sirianni, so Howie could say no, we're not trading him, and that probably is what we're looking at right now. And then Howie says, but if the right offer comes along, we will probably consider anything, right? And Howie's about assessing talent, gathering talent. And Howie's very much about the next move. Doesn't mean he doesn't retain or like to keep the talent in-house, but this guy hasn't been utilized anyway to the full extent of what he's capable. Now, could that be all on the OC? Yes. Did they move on from their offensive coordinator? Yes. Was it a putrid year in terms of play design and architecture with this offense? Yes. Will they be trying to get somebody like Miami, Mike McDaniel, or whatever? Not saying they get exactly him. Yes, Kingsbury, who knows? Who knows what in the hell they try and do to fix this situation. But if they get the right OC in place in Philly, AJB could rebound in Philly. It's certainly possible. But I do think that the right strong offers coming to the table, and even if it's a resistance factor at play for the Eagles. Yeah, we don't want to trade AJB because we do think we could get him going again. We do think we have the right OC in place. This is going to work. We're going to fix this relationship. AJB's pretty much had enough. So I think that the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, these teams that need wide receivers, if you go over to the wide receiver board and we pull up the wide receiver board, you can see what I consider to be the best landing spots for a wide receiver. And this incorporates rookies and free agents and anybody that's maybe available. We might even put trade candidates up on this list, and Pickens would become that if he gets franchise tagged anyway. But New England, Washington, Buffalo, the Raiders, KC, these are all teams that are interested in a wide receiver. KC most likely by way of the early top 10 draft pick that they have. But neither here nor there, these teams need wide receivers. These teams, especially the top four, could come with a strong offer. I do believe one will come with an offer for AJB that was similar to the offer for Pickens, and the team was at a impasse where they said, we just got to get rid of this guy. That's what probably happens here. It's not a guarantee. Maybe AJB decides he wants to stay all of a sudden. Maybe he's like Brandon Ayuk, where he calls, cries wolf and calls the bluff, and then when push comes to shove and he realizes he could get traded, maybe AJB just stops. We've seen it before where he stops and he doesn't complain anymore, and also we're confused. We're like, why is he not wanting out anymore? Because it was all talk. Like, that's certainly a possibility. And if that happens, he can fix that relationship. And then all of a sudden, this formula doesn't make sense anymore. So anything can happen. The divide between team and player is certainly there now. Will it continue to be there? Probably, because it feels like AJB is forever upset. But we never know until, the situation continues to, unfold. We got Travis Etienne news today that it appears, and it didn't seem like this was going to be the case at first based on some of the early news. But again, we could be we're in smoke season. We could be in a territory where this is just kind of madness and weird talk that doesn't have any sort of validity. But right here, according to the Florida Times-Union, they believe that Etienne understands his time here is likely over, speaking about his role and place with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'll tell you right now, if this is the case, our boy Bashal Tutin goes to the mother-freaking moon. Now, Tutin does come with some fumble situational concerns. He has a little bit of an injury history so far, and those two things are something to worry about. but Tootin would go to low-end running back one value immediately if he's the starting running back in a Liam Cohen offense. So this is going to be one of those situations to watch in the offseason, is starting right now. And if Etienne in free agency heads elsewhere and they move forward with Tootin, which I could see it either way. I could see Etienne leaving because they're just all about let's move forward. Let's use the talent that we've drafted. I specifically love Tootin. I specifically love Travis Hunter. A lot of Travis Hunter news too to go over. A lot of people taking, in my opinion, some of the things that have been said a little bit out of context, even though they're still very much wanting him to play both sides of the ball. We'll talk about Travis Hunter in a second. Etienne most likely gone, according to these early reports. Now, Liam Cohen could walk straight to a podium today, tomorrow, and a minute from now, maybe he did it 2 minutes ago, and say, I would love to retain Etienne. We're going to do everything we can to bring him back. And then all of a sudden, it's like, well, what's this guy talking about? From the Florida Union, whatever times. Smoke season. There's smoke everywhere. But there is a likelihood that this team wants to focus its resources in a direction of need, and they say system is going to produce whatever. You also got to understand that these guys are smart. A guy like or Liam Cohen or anybody that's a decision maker, they realize the mileage adds up. Not everybody's just given this carte blanche, complete, leeway to just play elite football till 33 years old. Like, there is a point in time where you say to yourself, mileage is adding up. He got a lot of usage this year. They used him more than he's ever used to. There's higher likelihoods of injury and not getting the return on your investment. And Liam Cohen is so good. His system is so good. And given how good Tootin looked, you don't really know what's going through his head in terms of, like, I love Etienne, but I know that Etienne's producing because my system's amazing. And I know I could draft one of these, incoming rookie running backs to go with Tootin, which would kind of rain on the Tootin parade a little bit. But you got to understand, there are a lot of parades that are going to get rained on because this 2026 rookie running back class is pretty doubted, to the tune of these guys, and they're good. They're not as good as previous years, but they're good. Jonah Coleman, you've got Price, you've got all these running backs, Singleton, that are going to fall so late that one of these insane offenses that is just looking for a player in the third and fourth round, and they're like, hey, there's a running back, and we're going to see somebody's parade get rained on. The parades are going to get rained on. One or two running backs are going to see an elite feeling, goal line back like Jonah Coleman, or a really, really good touchdown nose for the end zone type of machine in Price. And Price is a really good running back that just didn't get a shot because he played behind Jeremiah Love. But Jadarian Price is somebody I really, really like. I got my rookie board. We'll put it up again in a minute. But there is a world where Tootin becomes the lone starter, and then all of a sudden they draft a rookie running back. So we have to prepare for all those different ups and downs. But it does feel like, at least right now, Etienne is potentially on the move, and Tootin's stock is on the rise. And that doesn't mean that Etienne stock isn't, at least the same or on the rise, because what if Etienne lands in one of these amazing running back landing spots that we want so badly to fill via one of these RBs? Love, again, this is rookies and free agents. Love, we hope, goes to probably KC or the Saints. The Saints would be the top option. The Saints are the best landing spot for any running back, especially from a dynasty perspective. Breece Hall could go to KC. That's always been a match that's supposed to happen. Will it finally line up? Will the stars align this offseason via a sign and trade, or will the Jets stupidly let him go and realize they could have at least got the ridiculous fourth-round offer that the KC Chiefs offered them and they said no to back during the season before the deadline? But Etienne is one of the top running back options to land somewhere. If he went to Washington or to the Minnesota Vikings, there'd be a lot of intrigue. So Etienne's story is not done yet, just because he doesn't get retained and stays in the offense that we do want him to stay in very, very badly. AJB, okay, we got all those. We've got, let's see here, what else do we have? Nico Collins. We talked about Nico already. Again, anybody that doesn't know, Nico's not going to be playing this week, and that's horrible for the Houston Texans. Probably knocks their odds of winning down a tremendous amount. We got Patrick Mahomes news. There was news today saying that he has been told by his doctor that he could be ready for week 1. A lot of people are going to speculate on this one. And the doctor is going to say could, sure. Nobody knows. The doctor doesn't know. Mahomes doesn't know. No one knows. He's 8 months away from week 1. So anybody suggesting that Neighbors won't play, Mahomes won't play, stop listening to them immediately. Could they be right throwing a dart blindly at the board and they hit the target? Yeah, of course, because a setback could happen. And that doesn't make the person that says Mahomes isn't playing week 1 right. They threw a dart at a board. There's nothing that indicates Mahomes or Neighbors won't be ready for week 1. And there's no guarantee or lock that they will be, because knee injuries, setbacks happen all the time. So all I tell you is, anybody talking about whether a player is going to play or not play, coming off an ACL tear, walking now 8 months and some change into the season, like away from the season, I would stop listening to their advice immediately and never look back, because it's asinine. You could literally tear your ACL this week and still have a decent to good shot at playing week 1. And these guys have already had their knees, their grafts already healed. They're healing very well. Like, that's the biggest part of the recovery, is once you have that ACL taken out of your knee, your 2 knee joints, they drill a hole in both of the bones. They stick that new ACL down in there, and it's actually part of your patellar tendon. They cut a window out of your patellar tendon, take that piece, shove it in the one hole that they drilled, shove it in the other hole that they drilled, put screws in there, make it all tight, and then it needs to heal. It needs to die, because it's a piece of a living patellar tendon. It's a tendon, not a ligament. An ACL is a ligament. And so the tendon needs to die, and they've figured out through science and years of working on this thing back in the day that forms the same structure and has the same type of tightness that a ligament has once the patellar tendon piece dies. So once it dies, it starts to harden, and it becomes what would equate to what an ACL would function like. And then it has to heal. It has to embed itself into that hole with the screws, and then the bone grows into the holes in the screws, and it tightens it up. Just like you'd stick a screw into drywall, and you'd want to use like an anchor that would spread out, and you need to make sure that ACL is not coming out. That is the biggest part of the recovery. Making sure that amount of time you've got to wait to make sure that the graft takes, heals, and is stuck in there, and it's not going to slip out. Mahomes and Neighbors are so far along on that part of the process. That's, if you tore your ACL, there's 3, 4, 5 months of you not being able to do anything too crazy, or you pull that graft right out of the hole that they drilled. This is why it's insane when people start talking about Mahomes and Neighbors. Is there a chance Mahomes or Neighbors doesn't play week 1? Sure. A setback could happen. A slow recovery through something could happen. No one knows what that is now. So that's why it's a ridiculous conversation. Anybody talking like that, you should just walk away from right now. Otherwise, you're getting horrible advice. This is Arthur Smith potentially infecting something here. Lions have requested an interview with Steelers offensive coordinator. I think they already completed the interview. This is an old clipping from the day, but I believe they already met with them. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith for their offensive coordinator role. This is one of the last things we want. It's not that he's their top option. It's not that they're going to decide to use Arthur Smith as their offensive coordinator, but this is something we need to monitor. I don't know how much I would really put Gibbs in it. Like, I wouldn't knock Gibbs down a tremendous amount if, let's say, Arthur Smith ended up becoming the offensive coordinator in Detroit. It certainly wouldn't make any of us feel good or warm or fuzzy. You could some could say, oh, but he did pretty good in Pittsburgh, Smitty, because I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, with multiple running backs. Like, that's the whole point. Arthur Smith loves to run multiple running backs. This guy is a disaster. The last thing we want is Jahmyr Gibbs to be facing an Arthur Smith decision-making backfield offense. And quite frankly, I don't think he's a creative of enough guy to utilize St. Brown and to utilize J-Mo. And for the most part, if Arthur Smith becomes the offensive coordinator in Detroit, they become a much more boring offense. And we don't want that for one of the most explosive, talent-driven, talent-saturated offenses in the National Football League. So this is a very, very disgusting situation that we have to monitor. But it's not, locked in or anything, but it's certainly something we need to keep tabs on. And certainly Gibbs will move around a little bit in our thinking. I don't know that I would knock him out of the top 4 or anything, but there's a world where I say, you know what? I was going to go Gibbs number 2 overall, but with Arthur Smith, if he is, he's not, but if he is confirmed as an OC in Detroit, then I could see myself moving Puka. I could see myself moving Jamar Chase. I could see myself moving JSN all above Gibbs and then having Gibbs at like 4 or 5. Just because of the mere fact that Arthur Smith is a bum and he doesn't utilize things the way you want them to, and so it's going to dumb down and water down the offense slightly. Mike McDaniel, there's a lot of buzz about him getting a head coaching opportunity. I think the Baltimore Ravens will look at him. I think the Baltimore Ravens will also look to a couple other coaches. If we go to the coaching carousel board here, I think that you're looking at Kingsbury potentially getting a look for this Baltimore Ravens situation, McDaniel. But McDaniel's getting kicked around like Flores for a lot of OC, Flores DC jobs. The coordinator jobs are being talked about more with McDaniel and Flores than you would think. Flores, I'm surprised he isn't getting considered as a head coaching candidate for a lot more teams, but it is what it is. Flores and McDaniel, Flores and Kingsbury, Flores and Dable would be an amazing, with Flores being the head coach, duo to go to any one of these teams, especially like the Raiders or the Falcons or the Ravens would be phenomenal too. But it does appear like McDaniel is in the running for pretty much all of these. And the one wish we have, and I guess our new wish would be that we don't want Gibbs. Steve, are you okay? Steve, are you all right? You said Gibbs was overwhelming number 1 overall. First of all, I told you Bijan is. Okay, so you're not paying attention there. 2, Gibbs and Bijan are interchangeable, and I just explained it. Like, what do you, Steve, what kind of content creator are you looking for? Somebody that says something and doesn't adjust and adapt and just sticks to it all off season long? Like, Steve, what are you looking for, bro? What the hell's going on here? I'll let you be here because you seem confused. Where was I before Steve just absolutely doesn't know what he's saying there? McDaniel, Kingsbury, Kubiak. Kubiak's a fantastic choice, but McDaniel. Our number 1 wish is that we don't want Arthur Smith infecting Detroit now. But our number 2 wish is that McDaniel is able to OC for Bijan or for Jahmyr Gibbs. So give me McDaniel OC for Detroit. Give me McDaniel OC for Genty. McDaniel OC for Bijan. I want that Etienne treatment for Bijan, for Genty, or for Jahmyr Gibbs. That is probably our number 1 wish if we're trying to go choosing what we could potentially have open doors for. So that's going to be something we root for. So McDaniel. But anyways, what I was saying was McDaniel, one of the spots is Tampa Bay. This would also be very good for Bucky. And so if this was like our secondary choice that he goes to one of these locations, I mean, Bucky would be fantastic. Bucky with McDaniel would be unbelievable. Philly, yeah, McDaniel to Philly is certainly a possibility too, and that would be good for Barkley for sure. That would make us want to get on the Barkley train a little bit more, even though there is some injury concern. Although this year might have alleviated some of that because Barkley didn't get used enough. If he was used the same degree, he would have got hurt. The volume was just too heavy. But now it's like he comes out of the season almost on a resting type season, could get rejuvenated a little bit. And if McDaniel's there in Philly as the OC, then Barkley would go to the moon. But Bucky Irving, if he does end up getting paired up with McDaniel, Bucky bounces back on a tear. This is a beautiful marriage between the Bucs and McDaniel. Bucky and McDaniel. This is Etienne. Like this would be enormous. This would be absolutely outstanding. This would be unbelievable. So look for that. That would be I would love that. That would be my second choice if he's not going to the first choice, which is just gracing Genty, Gibbs, or Bijan with the Etienne treatment. We got Ray gifting a membership. Ray, thank you, pal, for gifting that membership. I got a couple super chats here as well. Maximum and Boss, appreciate you. Tiz, let me read Tiz's first, and then I'll go to the other one. MHJ plus a 27 first or 1.2. I have Lamb or 1.2. A little confusing how you're writing this, but MHJ plus a 27 first. Oh, okay. Or 1 point. I got you. I'm sorry. MHJ plus 27 first or 1.2. So I would rather have, it depends where the first is at. If you told me the first could really be 1 or 2 overall, real good chance, then I want that. I probably want that pick and an MHJ. But if you're telling me that it's a mid to late, I like MHJ a lot, but I really do think that Love, Jordan Tyson, and Carnell Tate are pretty solid. That said, though, I think if we get closer to draft day, or especially after these landing spots, I could very much like the 1.2 more. I think because we have the risk of landing spots not being what we want, and the fact that the draft class is a lot weaker and it's only Jeremiah Love, I'd do this for the 1.1 in a millisecond. I think right now I'm holding off. I want to take it, but I think the 27 first rounder, assuming it's not late. If it's late, then I guess I do it. If it's mid to maybe could be early, I think I hold on to the fact that MHJ still has some upside. But that's a tough one, man. 1.2 is nice though. My guess, if you want to make a trade with a little bit of courage and you're risking the biscuit, you're rolling the dice a little bit, I'd probably say I will like that trade when we get closer to the draft or after. And so you could make a spec trade and make it now and then later on review it with me. And I'd be like, I'm glad you did that. I'm just saying it's a dice roll, but logic says to go with the pick if it's mid or potentially early. If it's late, do the trade. Dynasty, 12-team, super flex, PPR, 0.5, same league. Goddard, Etienne, Javonte, Hunter, Henry, Mariota, JD5. 2, 1.6, 3.6, early, mid, second. What are we doing here, bro? This is so confusing all in one, bro. Dynasty, 12 PPR, same league, 1. A, Goddard, Etienne, B. Okay, so let me answer which side I like better. Hunter, Henry, Mariota, JD5, Goddard, Etienne, Javonte. I mean, without knowing your quarterback situation, like I want Etienne, Goddard, and Javonte more than I want Hunter, Henry, Mariota, and JD5. But, you know, tight end premium, super flex, JD5 is worth more than Etienne. But depends on your QB situation. So I don't know. I guess I would lean JD5 in a super flex unless you had good quarterback play. 1.6, 3.6 early to mid 27 first plus a second, 28 first, or Bryce Young and Igbuka. I would probably, I would probably say give me the first rounders. You're getting 3 first rounders. One's the 1.6. I think I probably take that triple stack of first rounders. Unless you like can win now, but even so, you could still win now with those picks, bro. You can even trade those picks for something. I'm going to go ahead and say give me the 3 first rounders. And I love Igbuka, but you could buy Igbuka lower. Or if you're selling them high, and then you can maybe try and trade and get them back. BBQ gifting 20 gifted memberships. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, BBQ, for dropping 20. 21 total gifted memberships. And by the way, on the Dynasty channel, we got the gifted memberships and super chats back running. So please, tonight when we go live, if anybody wants to test it out just to see, I'd very much appreciate to see if we can get those gifted memberships back up. I hated that it cut it off for like 7. It was like 14 days or something. It pissed me off, but we got it back. It's ready to go. So again, Mahomes' knee, doctor told him he could be ready for week 1. And if a setback happens, he won't. But there's no anybody saying anything other than it's going to be dependent on everything that we don't have in front of us. And it's 8 months away. It's craziness. Halfley interviewed for the head coach opening. I don't know. I don't like this. I would not want Halfley as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. I wouldn't want that at all. Dobbs, I'm thankful and grateful. Another year of ball and growth. The connectedness and the camaraderie goes a long way. Gotta ask you to guide my next steps moving forward. Is Romeo Doubs gone? He is one of the better free agent wide receiver options, which I'm not trying to say anything negative about Doubs. He's a good receiver for sure, but it is a weak free agent wide receiver class. You take the rookies out, which aren't free agents. You take Pickens out, who's really going to get tagged probably. So then he'll be a trade, not a free agent. And then you got Wandell, Mike Evans, Doubs, and Alec Pearson, and these boys right here. Jennings is interesting, but it is a pretty weak wide receiver free agent pool. But there are, a good 3 rookie wide receivers right here too as well to help fill some voids. But George Kittle had successful surgery on the Achilles. It went well. I would not expect Kittle to ever return to form, but could he still be, useful in fantasy? Yeah, but his time as the number 3-2 tight end potential guy is pretty much over. Joe Brady. Dolphins requested an interview with Joe Brady. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, his finish here in the playoffs will determine a lot. Zach Robinson, Lions interviewed Zach Robinson. Now, this one's easy to be like, this is trash. Like, look at what the Falcons did. This is the Falcons offensive coordinator. And, we're worried about that. But at the same time, I do believe Raheem Morris was more of a problem than Zach Robinson. And if we're being fair, did Bijan not look fantastic? Did Bijan not have an amazing year? Did before an injury happened to the starting quarterback and Penix Jr. wasn't out there to throw to our boy Drake London, was London not the wide receiver 1 in fantasy for, I believe it was 3 times during the season? So I kind of like Zach Robinson. I know it's going to be easy to overlook some of those things and just say failure in Atlanta, but he had an injured quarterback and he had a wide receiver that was number 1 3 times, and he had Bijan Robinson cooking. So I kind of like this. I kind of think Zach Robinson ain't bad for the Lions, people. I think I'd be okay with this. I think the way that he uses his weapons is pretty decent. So I'm going to Smitty approve Zach Robinson. There could be a lot worse situations. Sometimes you got to take what you can get. And I'd take this and press the button right now if it was them interviewing guys that we don't want them to interview. And we're like, what in the hell is going on here? This is a pretty damn good option.
You've just been Smitty.
10 gifted memberships from Husseini and BBQ. And who was the other guy that dropped it? It was Ray. Was it Ray? Ray, where is this gifted membership by? Was it Ray? Ray gifted membership, BBQ 20, Husseini with the 10. You guys are cooking up in this mug.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah, buddy.
If you got a gifted membership from one of those monsters, please let them know that you're grateful. So Zach Robinson, Smitty approves. That is pretty much all the news right now that I wanted to discuss. The AJB situation. Really, 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 unknown what's going to happen. Etienne, sounds like he's gone. Where does he go? Where could he be as good? Nico not going to play in the divisional round here. Jahmyr Gibbs, hopefully he does not have Arthur Smith as his offensive coordinator. I hope that interview went really well, or really bad. Really well. Oh, God. Hope it went really bad. I hope it went very, very bad. Phone lines are open. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Someone says Smitty's got his toes out. Yeah, I haven't. I'm not wearing any shoes today. I didn't bring any shoes to the office. I do usually wear socks, but Ray, appreciate you. Husseini, appreciate you. And BBQ, appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody else. You guys are all monsters. And thank you for the 2 super chats. Maximum and Tiz Boss, appreciate you both. You guys absolutely rock. Phone lines are open. I think they'll work. If they don't, I'll have to get the speaker out. I haven't restarted my computer today, so there could be a world where I don't hear who's calling in. You're live. Who is this and where are you calling from? Yeah, I can't hear you yet. Hold on 1 second. Let me just turn the speaker on. And as soon as I tell you, I will be able to hear you. Just give me 1 second here. And we should be good right now. You are live and I can hear you. What can I do for you?
Landman here.
Landman. What's up? You're live.
Hey, I'm calling from Tampa. And, you got to look at the Rumblers, man. I got a $20 super chat.
Damn it.
If we were real estate, we'd be Section 8 housing.
Yeah, but you know what? You're sleepers over there because it will get better, I promise. And then we got New Age dropping a gifted membership. New Age, are you out there? New Age, let me know you're there. Let me give a standing ovation for New Age. Give him some meatloaf. I smell meatloaf. Hey, Ma, the meatloaf.
Mashed potatoes.
I'm sorry, Landman. I have been pretty good at times, and then I don't at other times see it. So I know that I can do it. Just don't give up on me on Rumble for acknowledging you guys. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's a lot of habit of me not having to look at a Rumble chat while I'm live, and they don't integrate. The problem is they haven't integrated the same way for like streaming software and such. Like you can't get it the same way, so I have to go like hunting for it. Which is fine. I don't want anybody to feel like I don't want the Rumble rants like Landman just dropped right here. Let me read it. Smitty, Landman here. Is it me or is 2026 setting up to be a crazy year, i.e. all the studs coming back from injury, open coaching vacancies, free agency, draft class going to need Smitty still the GOAT? I think what this year for me, if I was to try and wrap it up, I'd say, yeah, we're gonna have a lot of like when we look at the quarterbacks, and someone comes in and goes, Smitty, you got to give it to so and so. They rank so high at QB. Like you had all these quarterbacks down. You JD5, Burrow, Mahomes got hurt. You have like 4 Hurts, was down there so much in scoring, which might be the regular thing to expect once the tush push is gone. Who knows? AJB's gone, no tush push. We could see Hurts fall out of the top 5, but we could also see Hurts fall or climb back into the top 5 if, let's say, AJB stays and they bring in Miami Mike McDaniel and he becomes Philly Mike McDaniel. So a lot of moving parts for some of these guys, but there's so many players that were hurt, and then we had all these rookies that were amazing that weren't utilized for more than half the year. So there are a lot of players that are going to potentially get injected back into the top 10. You got Jamar Chase, have hopefully a healthy Burrow all year. There's a lot of things that went wrong that I think will rebound. The one thing I would say, though, is that I truly believe that the way the NFL works these contracts with coaches and OCs, that they just can leave after 1 year. We're always going to have chaos until that gets solved because teams will not be consistently the same from year to year. Maybe the NFL likes this because they have turnover and, different contenders from year to year very quickly.
Sure.
But I don't know that I like it, and I don't think it's good for the league in general because you have a lot of inconsistency. You have no dynasties anymore because it's like you lose your OC. You could win a Super Bowl like Philly, lose your OC, and be trashed the next year. Then you got to replace that OC. Then you figure it out again. Then you come back and you win. And it's just, I don't know. That's part of the chaos that I think we're seeing. And it can lead to injury because you have different schemes, players learning different systems, and they're confused and things just aren't. When you're not playing at your finest because you're focused on learning or running a system that's not working as well, you get hurt. It's not good for the league. I almost guarantee you if coaches did not leave after 1 year, OCs specifically, to become elevated into head coaches, I almost guarantee you we'd have less injuries because it's hard to sustain your level of play and do it mindlessly when you're changing systems and changing OCs. You're outthinking yourself. You're playing badly. Like, would neighbors have gotten injured if they weren't throwing hospital balls downfield trying to score points because they couldn't? Like, there's so many things you could look at like that. Like, and I'm not trying to suggest that New York was dealing with that turnover in that respect, but I'm just saying, like, when a team struggles, so if a team is great 1 year and then they struggle the next year, you see players getting put in vulnerable spots. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy year. I have a feeling the way we approach it this year, I think we're gonna be more protective of our depth than ever before with the diversification across our fantasy football portfolio, which is a mantra I'm going to use all off season and in season. I think we're going to be protected in the ways that maybe we were vulnerable last year, because I think that we bring this community, this show, the content here, we bring a boldness that our league mates should be petrified about. But I think that we all have weaknesses. We all need to learn. We all need to turn weaknesses into strengths. And I think the one thing that we could do better as a community is build depth differently. I think in years past, I do tend to and have tended to continuously take stabs at players that, like having all the Brian Robinson Juniors, we need to look at some veterans a little bit better in terms of depth sometimes. We need to make sure we're not going all in on one player like Hendy across all of our leagues, because we're so damn excited about the hype that we're creating, which is justified. We are correct about Hendy. Even if Hendy gets misused in the playoffs here and we go into 2026 with confusion, we are correct about who he is. We know he's a top 5 running back. He is a locked-in top 5 electric running back, just like we knew that Gibbs was, Etienne was, Bijan was. And people questioned Bijan coming out of his rookie year because he wasn't fully unlocked. No one knew what he really was. And everybody now in hindsight could say, oh, Bijan was easy to see coming. Let me tell you, we took heat on Etienne, Bijan, and Gibbs every day during their rookie seasons and going into their second year. So this year is going to be a year of preparation, I would say, and diversification across our portfolios. And that is going to make us unstoppable. This year, I'm extremely excited about what we're bringing to the table. Landman, what else you got?
I'm good, man. I just wanted to let you know, us Rumblers, man, we may be small, but we're strong.
You're strong. You got, how many we got over there on Rumble right now? 17. 17 people streaming on Rumble right now. That's impressive. And if you guys haven't subscribed to the Rumble channel, please hit this link right here. We're going to be doing exclusive shows on Rumble. My goal is to start off with 1 or 2 a week, and I hope that I'm insanely capable of doing way more, but we're going to start with 1 to 2 exclusive, only on Rumble shows as an additional content, not taking away anything from YouTube. But New Age over there, New Age, thank you for that gifted membership. Appreciate you. We got River Runner over there. We've got Golf. We've got Cake is over on Rumble right now. Landman, of course, on the phone and over there. He's everywhere. We got a few other people. I'm sorry if I haven't read off everybody's name, but thank you for being loyal Rumblers. All right, Landman, mute yourself real quickly. I'll be right with you. If you got another question, I'll be back. Husseini, you're live. Husseini on the phone line.
I smell meatloaf.
You're live.
What's up, Smitty?
What's up, pal?
I know you and Chad are tired of me talking about my Chiefs all the time, so I'll keep it short, I promise.
Sure you will. Go ahead.
But no, now that Dante Moore, he's going back to Oregon. That I don't like that, because now it's going to mean that another team's going to land on, or not 100%, but like most likely land on Jeremiah Love a lot faster, or
This is true.
or Tyson, or whoever, the main guys. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, if those guys are taken by the 9th pick,
New Age.
I've kind of been doing some little bit research, and based off your videos I saw last week, I really, really like that Jonah Coleman guy in Washington. I think he would be the best if Jeremiah Love is not available, or Connell Tate or Tyson is not available. I think him. I like Jadarian Price, but watching more of Coleman compared to Jadarian Price, I like Coleman for some reason.
I love
the way he
both.
plays a little bit more. But Jadarian Price would be good too. Obviously, right behind Jeremiah Love, playing behind him. But I don't know. I really like that Jonah Coleman guy. What do you think about him? I know you obviously said good things about him, but aside from that one video, do you know much more? Especially he's kind of smaller, so in terms of height, so kind of more like a Clyde Edwards-Helaire type. But obviously, I feel like he's a better running back.
I wouldn't even say Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because you might trigger someone into thinking he's small, and he's not small. Jonah Coleman. So we have this. I've rotated Coleman. I love Emmett Johnson though. Emmett Johnson reminds me of Cadillac Williams, and
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 from Nebraska.
yeah, bro, he is such a intriguing running back.
Yeah,
I
saw him too, and I thought he was really, really nice. I like him too.
He reminds me of and I don't want to say he's Le'Veon Bell because no one's ever probably going to play like him, but the way he stops and starts when he's running is pretty impressive. But he had 1451, 12 TDs, 3 receiving touchdowns, 370, 46 receptions. Like, he's a total package. I like the thing is Price. The reason why Price is such a good prospect and very much as good as Jonah Coleman in terms of being a prospect, their landing spot will determine where they're going. I've had him as my number 2 rookie running back, Price, for the majority of the offseason so far, or January 1, not that much time. He's 5'11", 209, only has 674 yards, 11 touchdowns, 87 yards receiving, 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns. But this guy played with Jeremiah Love in the same backfield, so he was regulated to being Jeremiah Love's backup, but he continued to score like almost it felt like every time he's touching the ball, the guy's breaking off a huge run, 6 yards per carry. Elite potential receiving skills. We just only saw so much, but everything you watch, he catches everything. He just finds his way into the end zone. I love him. The thing about Coleman, and why I said dial back the Clyde Edwards-Helaire talk, I know you're a Chief fan, but this guy's 228 pounds. This is Derrick Henry, more than it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's huge. Yeah, he's huge. He's huge. He's a lot of comparisons to the muscle hamster Doug Martin, but he's way bigger than Doug Martin. So 5'9", 228, short, yes. Think RJ Harvey in height, but think Derrick Henry in size. And when you watch him run, it's like a Charbonnet on steroids. And the only thing I would say is that he doesn't have, like, he did have 1,000 yards, I believe, a year ago. So yeah, 1053, 10 touchdowns, and then this year in 2025 he had 758 and 15 touchdowns. The 15 touchdowns was remarkable. But you do wonder, like, is he and he certainly could be, is he a full-time, can he grind it out between the tackles year in and year out? Maybe. I think it's possible. He's built for it. We just, he's an exciting prospect that he has to go to the right spot. So if the right team takes Jonah Coleman, or the right team takes Jadarian Price, or the right team takes Emmett Johnson, that's the number 2 running back. Like, it sounds really obvious, Captain Obvious. The landing spot matters, but with these particular 3 running backs, there's just no way to figure out who is the number 2 behind Jeremiah Love until we have the landing spots, because they're all really, really good. Haynes, a lot of people like him. I'm not as big on him, but if in the right spot, he could be the number 2 running back. Singleton, I'm not huge on Singleton. Very fast kid, but if he goes to the right spot, he's the number 2 running back. There is such a huge tier break between Love and the rest of these guys that situation could make one of them a monster, but it's going to require the situation. Whereas Love's going to be a monster no matter what. And his situation is almost guaranteed to be good because his capital is so high. This would be a top 10 overall pick in Jeremiah Love, that he's going somewhere amazing because no one's spending that draft capital on a player they're not playing full time. But Coleman could fall anywhere. Like, that's the problem with these guys. They're all going to go in like the 3rd, 4th round. Maybe one of them goes in the 2nd round. It's possible. But right now, we're looking at maybe 2 of them in the 3rd round, the rest of them around 4. And when a team can grab Emmett Johnson or Jonah Coleman in 3 or 4, that could ruin anyone's parade. Like one of these guys could land in Detroit. Like, Jonah Coleman could go to Detroit. Like, that's how crazy that these guys are going to fall so far. There's no guarantee. We have zero comfort level. Mute yourself, caller. I'll be right with you. We have zero comfort level that we're going to for sure have one of these guys, not land in a place where we do not want them. But that's the nature of a draft too.
So do you think, okay, so earlier, I guess, I mean, the Clyde Edwards-Helaire comp was not very good, but do you think a better comparison would be like a Marshawn Lynch to Jonah Coleman?
Yeah,
definitely. Like just a massive dude in terms of just weight and muscle, but maybe not as tall, but he just was a brute force.
Yeah, I would say certainly a little bit more of a better comparison. I would say the best example I have would be like Jamal Lewis back in the day meets Derrick Henry in that sense. Like he is literally a machine. And his 5'9" frame with the 228, it's a unique, almost blessing in disguise build because he's lower to the ground and his contact balance is, he literally is a square. You know, you're like you can't like knock him over. He's like a gyro. Like you just can't. So it's a good build. I mean, if he was taller, you could get him at the knees. But Derrick Henry's never been injured, so that's kind of wild, you know, how tall he is. But he's definitely the shorter version. He's like the smaller brother of Derrick Henry that never grew. But he's a beast, man. He's an absolute beast. All right, hold on 1 second, Sandy. Real quickly, I got to get to these super chats. Just hang tight, real quickly. Shula to the Steelers would be a great head coach choice, says BBQ. He will bring offensive-minded OC with him as to anywhere a team with offensive talent. Thank you, BBQ. Yeah, he's an interesting choice for sure. There's a lot of interesting head coaching choices, honestly, out there. And I think if we get one that we're not super elated about, like, let's say a defensive-minded guy, it just all comes down to the OC. And in the case where if Kingsbury became or McDaniel became a head coach somewhere, then their offensive coordinator would be like meaningless in a way. So there's a lot of pros and cons. There's more of a pro of having Mike McDaniel as your OC and having a Flores or someone amazing also as your head coach. But then you run the risk, like Travis and I said last night and the night before, that you run the risk of that turnover because Mike McDaniel's going to coach him. If he OCs amazingly, he's out of there for a head coaching job. And so it's like, it's such a tough thing. And I think the league is not doing itself a service by allowing these OCs to jump after 1 year. And now it's 1 year. Everybody, and it's kind of like when we mock draft, if this community mock drafts, everybody is so afraid of everybody else taking their favorite player that everybody starts reaching. It's the same way with OCs. These teams they're not going to be like, well, he did pretty good. Let's see how he does next year. No, they get scared because everyone else is going to grab them. So everybody's grabbing everybody right away without being proven. And there's the turnover. BBQ with a $20 hauler. Appreciate BBQ dropping another 20 watt on screen. You absolute straight savage, BBQ. Great point on diversification with this year's draft not being loaded. And the second and third year breakouts plus free agencies and coaching changes will allow us to fill our rosters while letting rookies grow into the rules for later in the season. It's just, to me, even in best ball, diversification is the key. It doesn't mean that I'm it's going to be, I'm a drafting my sleepers addict. And I'm an addict with it. And I know I'm going to sit there and see Jeremiah Love in the third round at 3.2, and I'm just going to continue to smash the Jeremiah Love 3.280 I'm going to need help. I might lean on you guys. We might be a therapist on the live show and see if they can work with me on my addiction of drafting the same player over and over. We'll work through it together, but it is something that we have to try and accomplish, especially when you draft in so many underdog drafts. Now, I will say that I did brute force hammer down on the same players, and I pretty much had statistically my best underdog season yet. So there is something to, well, wait a minute, why are we changing it? I don't know. I think that I'm still going to land enough of those teams and I'm still, my saturation, as an example, Mahomes, I think it was 70% of all my best ball drafts paid dividends up until the point he got injured. And my saturation in Hendy, Harvey, Hampton, Hunter almost cost me a very, very bad advance rate looking situation because they came on late, but then they saved me. And I had many teams advance because of them coming around and changing those third and fourth place finishes that were looking pretty bleak across. I had like so many third and fourth place, at mid-season, it was like, these guys got to step up, and they did. So it's going to be a balance. There will be one or two players that I might have 50, 60% saturation of. And it is what it is. Like, I'm going to be willing to take that risk. But where you want to take that risk is going to be, I think, different than you might think. because it'll be a low-risk territory. For example, Mahomes going down didn't kill me because Mahomes was getting drafted in, what was it, round like 6 to 7 sometimes. He ended up being QB1 for a majority of the year, so I crushed all year with it, and then when he got injured, he cost me a 6th or 7th round pick, and so even if it happened to like 70% of my leagues, I still had a different quarterback. I had Burrow in a lot of those leagues, and he stepped back in at the right time. And so it ended up working out. My best ball team that was in the top 1% had Burrow and Mahomes, and it sucked that Mahomes went down. But there's ways to protect oversaturating. You just got to do it right. So we're gonna take it that way. Thank you, BBQ, for the $20 super chat. You monster, you. And then we've got this one from Wes who says, Smitty, you're the man. Can't wait for the draft. Thank you. Appreciate you. Worldwide. You're the man, the myth, the legend. That is worldwide, Wes, by the way. Worldwide is good people. Thank you, worldwide. All right. Back to Husseini. Wait 1 second. Let me go to Nick from Baltimore real quickly, and then I'll go back to Husseini, then back to Landman. Nick from Baltimore, you're live.
Hey, what's up, Smitty? It's been a long while since I got on the phone with you. So, yeah, it's been a minute.
What's up?
I'm looking forward to all off-season content. You bring us a really good show.
As you should.
And I just wanted to have a couple points here. First off, just for the running back, the thing you had up on the screen, like I think Justice Haynes is actually returning to school. So I think
did he decide to return? Hold on.
Yeah, that was like yesterday or something.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Well, I mean, I'm not even a big Justice Haynes guy anyway. Star running back returning to play home. Okay, good. Yeah, good catch. We'll take him off the board. Good one. All right, what else you got?
Actually,
Haynes and
Arthur Smith's landing spot might be the most ideal thing the Ravens as an offensive coordinator. And hear me out. I know this is crazy.
Bro, you're on the verge of getting hung up on.
2019, he was Tennessee Titans head offensive coordinator, and Derrick Henry.
We know this. We know the story. We know the story on Derrick Henry and Arthur Smith.
He was the guy that basically made Derrick Henry go over 1,000 yards. Really, he was 1,500 yards and 2,000 yards.
No.
And I mean, the Ravens really have,
bro. Even if you're correct, which you are, and we know this, it's not new news to us. We know that he's had success in the rear view, but bro, you're talking about okay, back in the what was the date again? 2019. 2019. Okay, it's 2026, and since 2019, we have had all of these horrible Arthur Smith experiences. You know, you're saying, but if we look in the rear view long enough, there was a day where Arthur Smith, I believe, and you're not even sure to what extent he really truly made that decision. We weren't there in the room. We don't know if he was told, you're putting Henry in there. And he's like, damn it. We don't even know. All we know is he was involved. And at the end of the day, we've seen him be in prominent positions where he's in full control. And it's committees and it's watered down offenses. The last thing you want is Arthur Smith. The last thing. Not to mention Derrick Henry is potentially on the verge of having maybe that last season, maybe not. He could fall off in the middle of the year. He could fall off in week 3. He's teeter-tottering on that. I want to hear he's different. Like, at some point it's happening, and we keep getting closer and closer to that. It could be this year, and if he falls off, then what? Lamar's handcuffed to Arthur Smith that makes a very vanilla offense. It's very vanilla, bro. He just almost ruined Bijan Robinson. Bro, let me just say this before I'm going to hang up on you, Nick. It's upsetting. Before Arthur Smith, before he got fired, let's reflect why he got fired over in Atlanta. He made Bijan Robinson his third running back in the pecking order at the goal line for an entire season. How are we trusting a guy that does that? You tell me. Because of 2019?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, I think that's a very good point. But I was just looking at some history for you, and I wanted to bring it up.
What?
He's out there. And he is going to land somewhere, and it's going to ruin somebody. And, I mean...
So you want to ruin Baltimore?
Yeah. Maybe
Okay.
maybe he's just like toxic wherever he goes, but maybe in Baltimore.
How he's changing his mind.
Yeah.
I just want him to be toxic somewhere
I
else.
agree. I don't know who's going to be the best fit for the Ravens really for offense.
Look, hey,
Lamar's
you brought a good point to the table. I'm not suggesting it isn't. We've definitely already worked out that angle, and we hear it a lot. So it's not a revelation that he if you look back far enough, when he was a little tyke, he used to coach Derrick Henry. I get it. It's not a bad point. It's just one we've shot down already, and there's just no way any of us want Arthur Smith in a position where he can ruin fantasy football outcomes. There's just too much negativity in recent history. You know where you could send him? Now I say this and I could regret it, because if they draft one of Tyson or Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Love, I'm going to be pissed as hell at myself in retrospect. But Tennessee and Cleveland, I don't have big aspirations for anybody on those rosters. So if I was to myself just make the decision to send Arthur Smith somewhere because he's going to go somewhere and I got to make the call, I'm sending him to the Tennessee Titans or the Cleveland Browns, because I have no fantasy assets there that I'm looking to acquire this year. And so that's what I would do. I mean, Fannin, I like Fannin, but yeah, I mean that would be a tough one, because Arthur Smith, the tight end, it could be hit and miss. But I definitely think that these two spots, if I had to pick here, or I'd say promote him to head coach over in Pittsburgh, just to get rid of, because DK, I'm not even sure I'm sold on DK. I don't know what's going on over there. That seems like that BBQ's probably so pissed right now. He's all right. Anyway, gotta go. Anything else, bro?
Well, when you see Daniel going to the Eagles, I don't know if Hopper can, run that kind of offense. That was something I wanted to bring up, and maybe you could talk about.
Well, I mean, what makes you say that? Thank you, Rumble. Appreciate it.
The narrative McDaniel had when he was first having success in Miami as a head coach and with that offense really cooking was because Tua had the right mentality. I think that was something that he brought up.
I get what you're saying, but what makes you think Hurts wouldn't be able to run that system? Like you're saying, he has the right mentality. Why does Hurts not have the right mentality? I'm just curious. I'm not necessarily taking a stand here. I'm just curious what makes you think that.
Seems as passing yards. He's regressed as a passer. He's really the guy that can get it across through the end, through the push and pushing the ball. It's not really a Mike McDaniel-esque.
I don't know. Look, I think Hurts has struggled for sure, but you have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Barkley, Goddard. You got all these weapons, and Miami Mike McDaniel could cook up a lot of things that Hurts could definitely connect with. I don't know. I kind of disagree, but I think that Hurts is very vulnerable to what OC he gets for sure. That's the bad part about Jalen Hurts. Is if he doesn't have the right OC in offense, he's not going to play as well. But I think if you give him McDaniel or Kingsbury, you would see him score a lot more, and I'd be back on the Hurts train, because I'm not somebody that's going to stick to something I said just because I said it. If I feel differently about the situation, a lot of players are married to their situation. And you can't separate the situation from player. You got to judge it for what it is. But Hurts is somebody that if he has the right coordinator, he can deliver. And I think McDaniel, it's not like Tua could throw, but Tua was trash at the end of his run there. I think Miami Mike is capable of doing things slightly different and catering around his quarterback. I think saying that Mike McDaniel can't adapt himself to Hurts' style is kind of not fair to McDaniel. Like McDaniel has never had this kind of quarterback. So what makes you think he wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm going to scheme up so many different things now? Because your defense is going to have to spy where Hurts is at all times, so you got different coverages. Like Miami Mike McDaniel, he might be belligerent sometimes, but he's a very smart schemer. I think we're giving him no credit there if we're saying he can't take Hurts and adapt himself to Hurts. But anyway, I didn't mean to disagree with everything you said when you called today, bro. That was not my intention. I'm sorry. Anything else? Let me agree with something. Say something else.
I think the Steelers need to rebuild.
Yes. Agreed. And I think BBQ's probably mad at me for saying that send Arthur Smith back over to become head coach. I think BBQ might. Damn it. I should have watched my mouth there. All right. Anything else, bro? If you got another thing, you can call back. It's the phone lines are open. All right. Appreciate you.
I look forward to all-season content for sure, man.
Call him more often. Later.
All right.
Super chat sent over to Husseini. I've got two of them here. Worldwide dropping a 20 watt on screen. You straight up savage, you.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Worldwide says, I love the plan on diversifying more next year. I wish diversified more as well. Can you give an example of some players that you plan on drafting that you avoided in 2025? Mostly focus on running backs, but wide receivers, you're the man. So let me give you a couple examples. In best ball, and we do a lot of best ball drafting here, so we're not all about best ball, but we do a lot of best ball. In best ball, I'm going to be focusing on not trying to grab the Brian Robinson Juniors, which I will, in fact, have draft selections that include guys like that. But instead of stacking all these B-Rob Juniors, or let's say even Tootin, who I like, instead of stacking Tootin times 4, I'm going to be a lot more about making sure I have quorums and players that are getting substantial work all year that may or may not get into the lineup, but they can be very helpful. So in best ball, it goes a long way to have people that are scoring points than just trying to bank on that home run and trying to also get lucky as to when that home run happens. And then is your team in it already? Is it already out? Do you have players that are outperforming Tootin anyway and he's not even helping you? Like quorum trickling in points all year long, you can use that. I would say so that's Dynasty. I'm sorry, I mean best ball. In terms of yearly league, home leagues, redrafts, some players that I might draft more this coming season. It's a good one. I'd probably say we're still going to be very, very, this isn't different. This is more of the same. We're going to be very, very multiple QB drafting oriented, not early, just making sure we're taking advantage of having a player that we feel confident if our quarterback goes down, we've got this guy, and then even a third one. I'm very much about 3 QBs, and people make fun of that on this channel for some reason. I don't know why. When we have all these injuries that go down, guys that I might draft this year, I would say, for example, I might be all about not drafting Barkley at all, but it depends on his OC. If he gets McDaniel, he gets somebody. I think given he's rested. And he had a pretty significantly uneventful year where the wear and tear was down quite a bit. I think he's a pretty solid option if he falls to the right spot. I think I'm more apt to draft, let's say, this year versus last year. I don't know that there's that many players that I'm like switching my tune on or anything. I don't think there's anything. I think it's more so just about diversification. And then in best ball, there's that thinking of just making sure you're drafting players that are scoring versus taking all these shots at home runs at the same time. I'm still going to have home run shots. I'll still have Tootin on plenty of teams. I'm just not going to have, 4 Basial Tootins on my roster. I'm going to have 1 or 2, and then I'm going to have, those quorums and such. Burden was a huge help to me on my final best ball team. So that is one of those, okay, he might not help you early on, but he can help you late. These are great players to have, but you can't stack all of them. You can't have a bunch of burdens because then you're going to lose the beginning part of your year. But to have somebody that you truly believe in, like I believed in Burden and Fannin, to step up and be that consistent performer at some point during the later part, mid to late part of the year was huge. I don't know that I'm looking at this as like we need to go after different players. I could see myself being more intrigued by like a Barkley at the right price, by a veteran like, I don't know. See, that's the thing, is I'm still going to be really opinionated. Like Jacobs is going to be somebody that I don't think I'm going near. And some people are going to still love him. I think other avoids, I'm not saying I won't draft CMC and some best ball, but let's say I'm playing in 3 home leagues. I don't think I'm taking CMC at 1, 2, 3, or 4, or even 5 overall in one of those home leagues because of the wear and tear. So I guess I'm not changing my team there. It's just such a massive workload that he's endured. But in best ball, might I draft some CMC in the first round, mid to late? Sure. Landman, call back if you got another one. Thank you, Worldwide. Appreciate you. And I think I answered your question. Thank you, my boy. And then this last super chat, then over to Husseini. Hey, Smitty, how does John Harbaugh going to the Giants raise neighbors and scatterboost draft stock for 2026? So you know how I feel because I've already addressed how I feel about what I think can happen. But in terms of their draft stock, I suppose Dart goes up. I don't know. If I had to guess, he goes from like QB 10 to 15 to a lot of people wanting him as their starter. Now, that might be like 8, to 10. QB 8 to 10. But I think he no longer becomes that bona fide, everybody has him as their, real quickly, like you're going to have to draft him pretty fast, second quarterback, to now he's becoming a lot of people's number 1 sleeper. I'm going to have the guy. Neighbors, I think there's so much concern about his knee, and there's a lot of bad information out there. I think that his value doesn't move at all right now, but could very much move later. And let's say he goes from, once everybody knows he's looking good, he's running, and everything's, these news starts dropping in positive ways. He goes from going maybe, I would say like 12 to 18 overall. It's going to be a wide range of ADP. He'll climb because of Harbaugh, because of Dart, and Dart looking better and all of that. I could see him getting back into like the 9 to 12 range eventually. But right now, it seems like he's going to be pretty late. Husseini just hung up. I was going right to him. I don't know. Who else do I have on the line? I had Landman hang up and Husseini hung up, and then the phone line cleared out. Okay, let's hit the phone line. Oh, nobody's there. 12 to 18, 9 to 12. So I think he climbs, like, you could say that's like almost a round in a way. Well, we'll be back anyway for the midnight show. So appreciate every single one of you that are here. Husseini, thank you very much for the super chat. Husseini's super chat was, gotta go get back to work. I call back on Graveyard Show. Thanks. Husseini, I'm sorry, bro. Thanks for calling in. And please call in the Graveyard Show. We'd love to have you on the Graveyard Shift. Last phone caller. You're live. You're the last caller. You got 10 seconds. Go.
Mike from San Diego.
What's up, Mike?
What are we doing with CD? What are we doing with CD Lamb? I got him in Dynasty. I'm coming off a championship. I'm thinking of holding, but do we think he's ever going to regain that really elite value that we saw in 23?
I do think it's possible. I think that, like, if he was going at 1 to 4, I might be worried enough not to, because with Pickens there, it's definitely, affected what we can count on. Like, he could certainly be great, but Dak had a really good year for the most part, and CeeDee Lamb didn't, so.
It was more of the injury.
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was. But even when he was back, there was some, back and forth as to like how consistent he was going to be. I would probably say that the fact that there's so much doubt, and he's going in like the 6 to 12 range, ADP, that alleviates any concern I have. I don't think I would oversaturate on, like, there are certain players I might oversaturate on, like Jeremiah Love, because that's in the 3rd round. Josh Allen in the 3rd round. I think you're going to see me. There will be about 5 or 6 guys that I'm going to give like the okay to go a little bit above and beyond the diversification mantra. I don't think Lamb would necessarily be that, but he's virtually close to that territory where I'm starting to say, man, I don't know. I love this value. If I'm getting him at 10, that's fantastic. I mean, that bakes in any risk. I think for Lamb, if he has kind of an off and on year because Pickens is so good, if they do retain Pickens. And the thing is, if you draft a lot of Lamb early on and they end up letting Pickens go via trade, or let's just say they don't tag him and they're ridiculous with this thing. Who knows? It's Jerry Jones. Then Lamb goes to number 4, 5, or 6 again. So you're getting him 6 to 12 now. I'd take advantage of it because even if Pickens stayed, your worst case scenario, he earns you this 6 to 12, and it's a really good value. So I love Lamb's ADP.
Something I looked at, even the games he played with Pickens, he had a lot of games where he went over 100 yards. We got really unlucky with touchdowns and drops this year, but I would say he's probably due for positive regression.
I hear you. For sure. Otherwise, I wouldn't love him at 6 to 10. But I will say that this is somebody that if we end up getting a lot of shares early in best ball, and there will be players, I'll have a list of players that I want you guys to lean into for the early best ball drafts versus later. And Bowers will be one. McBride will be one. Because drafting early tight end is so much easier to do when you still have sleepers on the board for rounds 5, 6, 7, 8. You just end up walking out going, this team looks amazing. But then in August, September, it's a lot harder to draft a good team going early tight end or even early quarterback. Like Josh Allen at 3.2 is a lot easier to draft him at 3.2 in March or April than it is in August because you don't miss a beat. One of your favorite sleepers is there in 7. And then it's like, so Lamb is the same. Lamb, he'll be one of those guys I promote to draft early drafts because I don't think he stays at like 8, 10, 11, 12 all year long. So this is a great territory. So strike while you can. Existing Dynasty, trade for him as low as you can right now because he will go back up. All right, bro.
All right, real quick.
Yeah.
Real quick, over under 1,300 yards with him next season.
Over.
Yes.
Over.
Over?
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
All right, call back tonight. Later. Husseini, final caller, and then we'll be back at midnight. Husseini, you're live.
So Smitty. So earlier you said about how like all these running backs, like a lot of them fall into the 2nd, 3rd round. So like, do you think the Chiefs are going to, in your opinion, draft one of them in the 9th pick, even if all the other studs are out? Or do you think we play safe? Or do you think that they'll be like, oh, well, there'll be someone available. There'll be like a Jadarian Price, or there'll be a Emmett Johnson or whoever, Jonah Coleman. One of them will be available with our 2nd pick. Let's get I don't think they'll do this, but like, let's get an offensive lineman. That way we can protect Mahomes and give, the rest of the skill players, better blocking or whatever. And then we can get our Jonah Coleman in the 2nd. Do you think the Chiefs would do something like that? Or do you think they would just play it safe and just grab skill player, 9th pick and be done with it? And then they can kind of sign players or figure it out. What do you think about that?
I think that the Chiefs, if I had to guess, are more likely to do that with wide receiver. And we think, Rice, they got to be worried about that. And then they kind of punt that opportunity. They're probably a little more likely to do that than to not get a running back. However, it doesn't mean they don't do both. Like I think drafting Jeremiah Love at 9 is less likely than drafting Tyson or Tate. But passing on a skill position player at 9 overall is a lesser chance, in my opinion, than them going and getting Breece Hall. You know what I mean? The Chiefs have said very, very blatantly, and they could change their mind, that they're moving on from Pacheco and they're going to go get a big name running back this year. So drafting a Jonah Coleman or somebody later is not that. So unless they change their maneuver here and they're lying to us, which they could be, it's smoke season, then I think they're addressing the running back either in free agency through Breece Hall, Etienne, one of these fantastic running back options that are on the table here. Kenneth Walker even, is a possibility. They're attacking that. I think the running back situation either that way. I don't even think that Jeremiah Love will be available at the 9 pick anyway. So
I don't think so either.
Hopefully they do both. Hopefully they get Breece Hall or Etienne or Walker, and then they draft Tate or Tyson, but probably going to be Tate, in my opinion, at the 9 pick, or Mekhi Lemon. That's probably what you're hoping for, because I don't think you're probably drafting Jeremiah Love. I would love for that, but I personally would be, I think, a little bit more okay with Love going to the Saints or well, I don't know. It's tough. The Saints is what I want for Love. I want Love to become the star running back in that new tripod of Shuck, Olave, and Love, but we'll see. But yeah, it's hard to say, man. I mean, a lot's going to depend on this Rashee Rice thing. If they think Rice is never going to play again, or he's going to miss the entire season, if he gets put on the exempt list paid before the draft, they're taking a wide receiver. If that situation looks like it might not even affect him right away, and it's certainly possible. It feels, everything when it happens feels like it's going to be doom and gloom, but man, this NFL, you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's the thing about the NFL. They definitely love to protect their players. That's for sure.
They do and they don't. Like they do and they don't. They didn't protect Rice very well last year, to be honest. I mean, I felt like they were gonna give him a slap on the wrist, and they gave him a pretty hefty suspension when you think about it. So I don't know. I mean, the other thing too is Rice is now, they've already been very firm with him and very hard on him. And what are they gonna do? Be easy on him now? I don't know. And innocent till proven guilty, but this guy didn't leave any room for he gets the benefit of the doubt. The only thing he's going to get is if they do their own investigation, which I'm sure they're almost done with. The NFL is so on top of this. They're like the Vatican. They have their own system that lives outside of the regular law. If they've combed through this thing and they're like, yeah, there's nothing here. Like, we've already looked at this. This is a complete fabrication. Then I could see them not doing anything until the legal process plays out. But the only thing that's bad is that this isn't some flash in the pan relationship, bro. The thing that's really going to go against Rice is he was with this woman for years, and they have a child together, and there's a history of him not providing for them. And so there's a different narrative than, this is a girl that he's dated years and she's doing this money grab. This is one of those situations that has probably a lot more history than anybody would want to be known. There's going to be so much history to dig into with a player that's getting hit for a living. These guys, to be somewhat fair, I'm not condoning any sort of abuse at all, but when you date a football player, part of you's got to know this person's gonna have a temper, a short fuse, and they're gonna be kind of a wreck. They're coming home after trying to annihilate people and their aggression. Yeah. Does anybody think that the Rice, given his poor decision making in the past, hasn't had a moment that's going to come back to bite him in this relationship that he's been with this woman forever? I don't know, man. I just, if I'm betting on this situation, I'm not betting on Rice coming out unscathed. I'll tell you that right now, because he's already gotten a heavy hand punishment, more so than other players. And this one's domestic. It's different when it's domestic. It doesn't matter if you get in a fight at the casino outside an elevator like Alvin Kamara. This is domestic. The NFL has always stepped up on the erring on the side of caution with domestic. Look at Isaiah Bond. Look at Judkins. They both got exiled out of the NFL, and there was clearly, even though we have no evidence for it, explicit instruction to all the teams by the NFL. Don't you do a thing. And there's a reason that the Cleveland Browns, out of all teams, just sat on their hands as long as they were instructed to. The NFL is don't do a thing. Isaiah Bond and Judkins didn't have a career until that got cleared up. So if anybody wants to say the NFL is going to be not heavy-handed here, I don't know. We don't have very many examples where a domestic situation's happened, especially with someone that they have a child and a long-standing relationship. We have always seen the NFL step up early and sometimes make bad decisions, and the player, their life gets ruined. Look at Isaiah Bond and Judkins. They were both, I don't know that we can literally say they were innocent, but the evidence was obviously not good enough that this should have happened to them because no one could do anything about it. So clearly it was either fabricated to a degree, completely fabricated, or it was fabricated enough that there was really a nothing burger. So NFL's going to probably react, is my guess.
I agree. And the only reason why I say I was like talking more running back heavy is just because, and maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't done too much like wide receiver scouting, but I feel like and I'm not honestly a big, obviously I don't want to disrespect him. I think obviously he's going to be an NFL athlete, but I'm not too high on Lemon. In my opinion, I'd rather not draft him and just kind of grab like another star running back or potential or a different wide receiver if they're out there. But outside of Lemon and then I think the third option, I honestly don't really know too much about the other rookie.
I'll have a video on it.
Receivers.
Yeah, so. Boston. Look up Denzel Boston. He's really good. You'll like him. Big size. The Chiefs haven't had a receiver like Boston. And so it would be intriguing to not just go in the same route and just go get this monster. Like one of those, ironically, David Boston, but this Denzel Boston. No relation, but just a big boy. He's just a big boy. It'd be an intriguing option, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Definitely likely if Rice is in trouble or looks to be in trouble or looks like it's going that way, they'll probably draft, I think, Cardinal Tate. And I think Tate is probably the best Chief wide receiver option. You don't really want Jordan Tyson. You've got Worthy already. I feel like those are very similar players in terms of trying to stretch the field and all that. Cardinal Tate is like Chris Carter. He's
the guy.
Catches everything, bro.
Jeremiah Love of wide receivers this draft.
He catches everything. I love him. He'd be perfect in KC. All right, got to go. Be back at midnight. Call in tonight, Husseini.
All right, ready. See ya.
All right, later. All right, guys, I'll be back at midnight Eastern. Appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the gifted memberships. Thanks for my super chats. The ones from Husseini, from Joe Sweeney. Appreciate you. Worldwide with the super chat. Worldwide with the second super chat. One of them $20 hauler. BBQ with Dublaze. One a $20 hauler. Tiz Boss and Maximum. Appreciate you. Gifted memberships and over. Let me go to Rumble real quickly. Just thank my Rumble people. I've got New Age Outlaw with the gifted membership. New Age Outlaw with the gifted membership. I got Landman over on Rumble with the super chat, which is called a Rumble Rant. I got Cake in the building over there. New Age, appreciate you. Appreciate all my Rumblers. Thank you, Landman. Landman, call in tonight if you want. Appreciate you all. Thank you to my gifted memberships over on YouTube. We had a lot of them. We had, let's see here. We had Ray. We had BBQ with the 20. We had Husseini with the 10. Husseini, appreciate you. Ray gifted himself, did he? Ray gifted a membership, then gifted himself. Like, you can't choose. It's not his fault. But that's hilarious. You give a gifted membership. Congratulations, Ray. You got your own gifted membership. That's awesome. We'll be back at midnight Eastern. Appreciate every single one of you. You guys absolutely rock. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Live whenever big news breaks. Also live at midnight Eastern almost every single night. See you all at midnight.